When Georgie and Mandy's first marriage first premiered, fans assumed the writers would stretch the marriage as long as possible. After all, we already know from the Big Bang Theory that Georgie ends up with multiple ex-wives, which means this first marriage has an expiration date. The expectation was simple: build the relationship slowly, deepen the bond, and let the eventual breakup land as a late-series emotional gut punch. Instead, the split comes sooner than many viewers anticipated. And the real reason isn't shock value. It's inevitability meeting realism. From the very beginning, this spin-off faced a unique storytelling challenge. Most romantic sitcoms thrive on uncertainty. Will they or won't they? But Georgie and Mandy's situation is the opposite. We know they will. And we know they won't last forever. That kind of predetermined outcome changes the tension. If the writers dragged the marriage out too long, it would begin to feel artificial, like the show was stalling rather than progressing. So instead of prolonging the inevitable, the series leans into emotional truth. The cracks were always there. Even back in Young Sheldon, Georgie and Mandy's relationship was born out of unexpected circumstances. It wasn't a slow, carefully built romance. It was accelerated by responsibility. An unplanned pregnancy forced adulthood to arrive early. Their marriage wasn't the result of years of compatibility. It was a decision made under pressure. And pressure has consequences. Season 1 planted the seeds quietly. Financial instability, pride, generational differences between families, and subtle miscommunication. They loved each other, yes. But love isn't always enough when two people are still forming who they are. Season 2 and beyond don't introduce dramatic betrayals or over-the-top twists. Instead, the show leans into something more grounded: emotional drift. Georgie grows more confident in his career, but that growth shifts his focus. Mandy grows more independent, but that independence highlights what she feels is missing. Neither one becomes the villain. They simply evolve at different speeds. That's the key reason the breakup feels sooner than expected. They're not collapsing because of one catastrophic moment. They're separating because alignment fades. And in real life, that often happens faster than people think, especially in young marriages built on urgency rather than long-term planning. There's also a structural reason behind the timing. If the show waited too long to end the marriage, it would box itself into repetition. The same arguments, the same tension loops. Viewers would start predicting conflict beats. By moving the breakup forward, the writers avoid stagnation and open new narrative doors. A divorced Georgie navigating single fatherhood, identity, and future relationships offers more long-term storytelling potential than stretching a strained marriage indefinitely. Another layer to this decision is thematic consistency. The franchise has always been about growth, sometimes messy, sometimes painful growth. Sheldon's story was about intellectual isolation. Georgie's story is about emotional maturation. Ending the marriage earlier emphasizes that growth often comes through failure. And importantly, the breakup doesn't erase what they had. That's why it works. The show makes it clear they genuinely tried. Georgie wanted to be a good husband. Mandy wanted stability and partnership. They weren't careless. They weren't cruel. They were just young, navigating adulthood without a blueprint. The earlier split also reframes the larger Cooper family narrative. In the Big Bang Theory, Georgie's multiple marriages were mostly treated as punchlines. But now, because we've seen how sincere this first marriage was, the breakup feels like a formative wound rather than a joke. It adds depth to the man he becomes later. When fans say the breakup happened sooner than expected, what they're really reacting to is emotional investment. The show made the relationship believable enough that viewers hoped canon might bend. That hope is a testament to how well the series built their bond. But from a storytelling perspective, ending it earlier keeps the show honest. Dragging it out would have turned inevitability into delay. Moving forward turns inevitability into momentum. In the end, the real reason Georgie and Mandy's breakup happens sooner than expected is simple. The story refuses to pretend that love alone can override timing, maturity, and compatibility. Sometimes two people can care deeply about each other and still not be ready for forever. And acknowledging that sooner rather than later is what makes the breakup feel grounded instead of forced.